today I've been speaking recently on creating emotional connection through content, specifically on Amazon. Today I'm going to cover some of that, but I'm also going to cover some stuff I've been doing with influencers, building like influencer-based brands. I've worked with like Kevin Hart and Nikita Dragon and Bobby Parrish and 5 or 6 others that are pretty big influencers that launch brands behind them, or brands teamed up with them to launch product. And it's been, as everything gets harder, I think it's a strategy that we have to lean into. It's an authentic way of connecting with customers, that emotional connection. Again, they feel something toward that comedian. They feel something toward that person that's helped them with that diet. They feel something toward that golf coach. Whatever it is, you're immediately getting that trust attached to your product. And so conversion rate's just high. You build fans fast. And it's essentially a way to take a private label brand or even a brand that's been established and essentially give it rocket fuel. So I'm talking about creating a holistic brand. This is the only way to click through, right? The right arrow. Okay, sorry. No.
You told me I get to grab my coffee that I love.
No. What I want to cover today is defining brand. What does that mean? Because branding is a broad term that everyone uses. Creating an emotional connection with customers through branding, the influencer effect, and why external traffic matters. So, our virtual lives now are starting to like parallel with what's happening in the real world, right? We know there's virtual reality, we've got the metaverse, we have all these things happening, we live our lives through social media. I've been like on a 2-year journey of cutting everything off. It's just like you're constantly trying to balance everything where I can be here presently, not on my phone, but like a lot of you, a lot of this community is virtual. We're e-commerce sellers, we're Amazon sellers. Like me and Ryan Kramer have been friends for a long time, really through podcasts and virtual events way before we ever met in person. I have friends like that all over the world. And so you just have to change your mindset a little bit in regards to thinking about how you present yourself in the virtual world. We still have to build reputation. We still have to build trust. We still have to do all these normal things that you would do in real life, just virtually. And so what's the best way to do that? Key takeaway. Okay, so what I want from you guys on this one is, this slide is about, today's presentation is just about giving you guys value, and it's going to be a successful talk if you guys come away with a different perspective than what you came in here with. That's really the only goal of this, is to maybe get your mind thinking about how you can approach something differently, whether it's your personal brand, whether it's your Amazon brand, whatever it might be. So, as some of you guys know, my company's name is Marknology. I'm going to start wearing shirts that just say my name is not Mark, because I think that happens like all the time. People see my email header and it just like maybe it abbreviates it in a phone or something. I don't really know. I try to come up with excuses for everyone. But for me, I named it Marknology because as an e-commerce consultant at the time, I believe that e-commerce sits right in the middle of marketing and technology. And my first job in e-commerce 12 years ago. I've been in the Amazon space like 11, I think. I was hired by the tech department, the IT department, but I worked with marketing all day. And I started calling these lunches, the Marknology lunches. And, just kind of a clever play on words to call it the Marknology lunch. Let's bring the marketing team, the technology team. But what I realized kind of from inside that company was I need both of these teams that really are separate within a corporate company to work together to be successful. Carbon 6, right? That's the technology piece. So it's blending, like you can be marketing, can be creative, you can do all these things. You still have to know how to use your tools. You still have to know how to put them to work for you. So why did I start focusing on branding years ago in the Amazon space? And I want to give you a couple of reasons why I've leaned in so heavily to this. There's a couple of things. So some people that have been in the Amazon industry for a long time might remember Vendor Express. Does anyone here remember Vendor Express? Yeah, loophole, right, to getting access to Vendor Central. For me, it was, the slide says curiosity and data, because I think that you have to have professional curiosity to be successful or to be great at anything. It's not something that you can just be like, I want to know more about that. You have to be curious. You have to dig into things just because you want to know the why. I think one of the reasons I've been so successful on Amazon and in this industry is because I didn't just build a business to make money. I was like truly passionate about e-commerce. I wanted to know how does this work? When people are just doing giveaways where you could just like, if you had enough budget, you could do giveaways, get reviews, and rank products. Way before I even knew that was black hat, that's what everyone was doing. We were just giving away product. If you had enough product to give away, you could rank your product, you're gonna be successful. I still wanted to know about SEO on Amazon. I believed that it was a thing, no one was talking about it. I was like, oh, I wish they'd stop doing these giveaways so I could just figure out if my strategies work or not. And so eventually they did, and I was like, yes, because the people that are like working on this are gonna be successful, right? So as things change, which happens quickly in the Amazon space, in the e-commerce space, you have to stay curious and then listen to the data. So I talked about Vendor Express. I was e-commerce manager at a brand, a toy brand called US Toy Company, maybe like 300 employees, 8 retail stores or so, early on in my Amazon journey. And what it taught me was sitting in a company that was like old school. They used to be like big in catalog, one of the biggest like toy catalog companies. They sold through catalogs, and they did a big photo shoot every year for the catalog. And really they were mailing out, they're spending millions of dollars on these catalogs, and what was actually happening is they were just going to the URL, typing in like US Toy or CP Toys from the catalog and buying. So I have a problem because paper costs a lot, attribution's hard. I know that our web and our e-commerce is not actually healthy. All that's really happening is we're doing like direct mail, basically marketing, spending thousands of dollars on photography to get conversions. And so I started trying to change them from within, and I started having conversations with the bookkeeping department, the accounting department, and the customer service department. And I'm in the meetings with the CEO and the sales guys, as the sales guys are upset that I'm cutting some of their distributors off that are selling on Amazon or reselling on Amazon. And you know, I had the arguments where I'm like, I understand that you're in sales, I understand that you get commissions for this, but if my territory is Florida and yours is California and you're selling in Florida, I'm gonna be pissed off. Right? And I tried to like have these conversations for the very first time inside these companies and like realize what was happening on the other side of my Amazon conversation. Like I knew Amazon, I knew e-commerce, I was learning it as a young man. I'm still young, but you know, it was like, okay, I see the resistance here, I see the resistance here, I see the resistance here, I see the resistance here. Instead of being like I'm an Amazon private label seller going to Alibaba and listing products in 2013 or 14, that where someone's already into it and like believes in it and that's why they're trying it. This was like the conversation from the other side, the resistance. And so I started paying attention to those things. And the last thing I'll say, because it's important, is I had made my first company $1 million. We were selling car parts online. We made $1 million the first year. This was like before car parts were even on the web. Like I legit was going to Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep with my iPhone, taking pictures of like part by part by part. Like I'd made out some deal with the guy. I can't remember what I did. But I was selling them like crazy because they simply weren't online. If you guys remember those days, we actually like messed up the catalog for the most part. Now I'm in the business of cleaning it up. But made a lot of money doing that. I came to US Toy Company, made them, we grew by 1.5 million in my first year there. And I'm the only one doing Amazon. So it's like, you know, that you're tinkering or whatever is like resulting in the growth or the sales, right? There's not a lot of jobs that you're the sole person for doing something, but e-commerce can be like that. And I'm not telling my whole story, but I got like a 20-cent raise, and I was like, this is a joke. And I started freelancing. I got top 10 in the world on Upwork after a couple of months because no one was doing it. That's why I was best, because no one else was doing it there, at least on Upwork. And I worked with Adidas, and I tell that story because this was years ago, and I had a chance to work with like a major brand. Does anyone in here not know who Adidas is? Okay, then they've branded themselves well, right? And I had access as like a young freelancer, not knowing what I was doing. I got hired by a bigger marketing company, white labeled, to do Amazon for Adidas. They had just acquired a company, and I was launching them on Vendor Central, and they had amazing content. Just like beautiful lifestyle images. Like they probably paid $100,000 for this photo shoot, I'm sure, for this brand. And so I was just like getting to build these A+ pages and these PDP pages with like amazing content. And I saw the data results of great content early on. This is like 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And I've had a hard time going back because once I tasted what like good content could do, it was like frustrating for me to work with anything that didn't have great content. Because I'm like, why wouldn't I want a better conversion rate? Why wouldn't I want better engagement? Why wouldn't I want better click-through rate? So I just happen to be too early because everyone in the industry is like, well, I can just give away products for reviews and rank my products, right? And they were right. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's been a slow journey to understanding what's existed since the beginning of time, which is storytelling and great content. That's why the great branding agencies and the great marketing agencies, they're not really in our space yet. They're not really in the Amazon space yet. They haven't touched it. They're not spending time obsessing about the best way to make an A+ page come together, or the best way to get click-through rate on PDP images, or PickFu is kind of like they've like started caring about content, right, and matching images up and things like that. But for me, early on, getting a chance to see that, it changed the way I've built my agency entirely. I no longer wanted to work with brands that didn't have brand registry, or that weren't pursuing it, or that weren't trying to get a trademark way before you could get it in like a week or 2 weeks like it is now. It was like a 9-month wait. And so I started being like, well, if I don't have the brand registry, I can't change the images, I can't change the content, I can't improve the listing. Why do I want to work on anything I can't improve, right? At least that's how I was thinking, right? And it's just curiosity and data, not what I had right in front of me. So I took a minute on that one, but I want you to kind of understand, why have I been focused on this? Why have I been obsessed with this so long? It was a number of different things. But mainly leaning into what Amazon's been pushing for years and years and years. Since Brand Registry 1, they have been pushing content, images, make it better. We're not just doing white background. So where does branding exist? We've got companies, places, personal brand, in-person, brand ambassadors, online, social media. It exists everywhere. Because branding is not just how good your package looks. Excuse me, still hungover today. It's not just how your packaging looks, it's a feeling. How do you feel about this brand when you see it, when you experience it, when you're wearing it? You know, it's why so many people wear high fashion, because when it's on, they feel like a boss, right? They're like, I've got this Gucci purse or these shoes or these slippers, and when they're on, I feel different. I feel an emotion of like, I feel beautiful, or whatever the case might be. It's a feeling. So, reality check. This one's kind of fun. Something that I've learned over the years talking with sellers, especially people very attached to their products, like maybe like the makers themselves, the people that invented it, versus someone just buying product and selling it, completely different emotion. A lot of them believe that they're communicating their product's benefits, features, values, story well. And perception is reality. The case is most of them are not. And as soon as you're able to remove yourself emotionally from your products and get live feedback from people, get other people's perspective on that, a lot of times you can find a lot of growth in your story or your branding or whatever you're trying to do. So 2 examples here, the Slinky. You don't see that many of them these days anymore. But originally the creator was building it for some kind of boat part, I think an engineering part. He dropped it on the boat dock and it just like started doing its thing. And it went viral. In those days, there was no virality, but basically people took it up and it became like a toy that we all know, we've all played with. He was upset because he's like an engineer and he's like, I built something for this like coil in this boat or something. But it turned out to be like this toy that we've all, probably all of us have played with a Slinky once or twice. And the other one is this Burger King commercial. And I'm gonna let you guys like, basically understand that one on your own, what went wrong there. But someone in their marketing department thought it was a great idea to create this graphic, okay? And they're trying to compare themselves to the Big Mac at the time, like the size of the sandwich, and they kind of missed the mark. And that's when you're creating in a bubble and you're not getting outside feedback, you're not really getting other people's perspective on how your idea is coming across. And it's not really that you're wrong, it's that what's important is getting them to understand what you're selling. It's not that you're wrong. There's no right or wrong. It's just, can I communicate this better? So a brand that creates an emotional connection with its audience through powerful branding is capable of influencing their decisions and potentially turning them into advocates. So I know that's a mouthful. But the thought process here is that, like, first, what happens if you guys have studied like the brain at all or human behavior, first what happens is like your emotional brain feels something about it, right? Like, let me see, an example would be like danger is coming toward a kid and the dad just like grabs the kid, doesn't even know what's really happening, he just does it out of instinct, and then he processes a couple seconds later and he's like, whoa, there's a dog coming, right? Like, what happens first is his emotional brain like protects his child, And then his logic brain is like, why did I do that? And then it finds the danger, and it's like assessed. So your emotional brain is working much faster than your logical brain. So thinking that, right, in the same way to sell, we can create emotional connection first with our images and content. That's why TikTok stuff goes viral. You're getting their attention, you're entertaining them, you're hooking them, they're feeling something about it. Maybe it's like repulsive, maybe it's like entertaining, maybe it's funny, maybe it's educational, but you're connecting to them emotionally with that image. That's why there's so many shock value and like these headlines, because it makes them feel something, then they dig in deeper and they're reading it. Well, we can do the same thing with our images and content for all of our brands. If you're looking at your images on Amazon, going through them, I do this all the time, and you're like reading the content, you're reading the SEO, and you don't feel anything, it's like you're just explaining what this product is selling. You're not saying this is going to make me sexier, this is going to make me a better athlete, this is going to help me be outside more with my kids, this is going to like make my fish tank cleaner and healthier. Whatever it might be, if you're not feeling anything with your images, you're missing the mark, okay? So I know it's easier to do stuff that we're good at, to list like, comes with 2 sleeves, 14 by 12, like da-da-da-da-da. But that does nothing, it's a waste. And we're all trying to win here, right? We're not just trying to do it just to do it. We're not just trying to fill in image blocks to fill out the number of images required on Amazon. We're trying to sell a lot of shit, right? So for me, it's like taking a step back, really looking at your images and saying, does this evoke anything from me? If it does, it can even be negative. People sell a lot of stuff with negative emotion. Okay, I don't love leaning into that. But that's what a comparison chart is. That's what different things like that are. I like making it say, you're going to be an idiot if you don't buy this product. That's the vibe I go for. Like, I want it to be like, they look at it, they're like, oh my God, my dog needs this. I need him to live to be 20 years old. Like, you know, this is going to be a must-have. For $30, for $40, this is a no-brainer. Is this resonating with anyone? Yeah, you guys with me? Cool. Okay, this is a makeup brand we launched. I use a lot of my own examples here because I don't like citing sources, and it's easier to remember, okay? So one thing about this, like that's emotionally, like what I want to point out is, with skincare and beauty, a lot of it is texture-based, right? So you can see in the images here, you know, you could just have the colors, the swatches, sure. But you can create emotion by, what you're trying to do here is like, if the person doesn't feel like they're gonna be more beautiful, or they're gonna hit that outfit right, or it's gonna like reflect well on them, you're missing the mark with selling anything in regards to beauty. This one I'm gonna skip over quickly, but basically I'm just trying to show cohesive branding across all of your images and graphics. As you go from PDP, like I was auditing a listing earlier this week for a brand, and from their PDP to their SEO to their A+, they were selling to an entirely different customer across each medium. And that's a no-no, especially like that's all in the same listing. Imagine going from product to product to product and doing the same thing. Stay consistent, stay cohesive. This is a brand I've launched 6 years ago. It's one of mine as well. This used to be good at one point. You know, it was an A+, it filled out, had good information, maybe it had good SEO, good keywords. It's evolved, guys. Amazon's evolving, it's getting better, we're getting better at what we do. We also were 2 years into this brand. We did a customer survey, satisfaction, and we started looking at our customers' age demographics and realized that we were really resonating with an older crowd, 50 and up. And we had a lot of customers coming back, but we didn't want that. We wanted a younger generation buying our products because they would stay with us longer as a brand, we believed. And so we rebranded, we kept the same logo, we went to Waggity. Another thing to be more authentic and to try to resonate better and improve our conversion rate, whether it was the right move or not, we started bringing in the owner's dogs, our dogs, the community's dogs, and actually taking real photos with dogs in the community. It also started helping us create relationship in the community, and by accident, all the dogs that we had been like photographing became customers because they came in, they liked the brand, they liked the people, we left them with product. Our conversion rate, or our retention rate's like near 50% for new customers. So we spend a lot to acquire new customers, but we keep like 1 out of 2. And so, you know, giving away product, these types of things work really well. That's something else I wanted to point out is like, There's other ways to do it. You don't have to bring in dogs from the community. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of work. You got to clean up in the studio or whatever. But it was a really good community building thing like this that helped us build our brand. Okay, so I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because I actually wanted to talk about like multiple things. I have a little bit of time. I'm having a blast recently with influencers. I like met a kid that's 23 years old out of Kansas City. He was like a video editor with Jake Paul. Learned a lot of stuff about editing content, TikTok, YouTube Reels, all that kind of stuff. We connected. 3 months later, we've been working to build a brand. We got 6.6 million followers on TikTok in 3 months. We drove 200 million views last month for free. Yeah, exactly. I'm pumped about it. I'm hyped up. I'm like innovating again. I'm having a lot of fun. And it's like the early days of Facebook funnels, right? So there's a lot of things to say with that because it's not just all about funnels and ranking and things like that, but really partnering up to launch a new brand or an existing brand that's struggling by bringing in an influencer and giving him 10% of your brand or 5% of your brand or building it with him, or there's so many different ways to partner with them. But it's a drop in the bucket in regards to like how much traffic you can get from them, how much trust, how much reputation immediately you can get. And it can't be ignored. It simply can't be ignored. There's brands that we're trying much harder than some of these brands, but because they're doing it right and relevant, they're succeeding, right? And don't be left behind simply because you're like, well, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to reach out to them. I don't know how to get people to like me. I'm great with data. I'm great with math. You just have to start somewhere and start figuring it out. And for me, the results have been crazy. So I talked about the influencer that we've been driving a bunch of views with, but before that, I was working with this 19-year-old kid. He's from Finland. He's been helping or doing Facebook ads and TikTok ads and things like that since he was 14. So he's got 5 years experience at 19. And he had a golf training product. And he was doing $100,000 a month on Shopify with organic TikTok traffic. And I was blown away by that. I'm like, wow, that's super impressive at 19. How are you doing this? I want to know everything about it. I'll help you launch on Amazon. I'll give you my services. Like, you teach me what we're doing on TikTok along the way, right? I trade services all the time for stuff like that, right? What's the fastest way to learn? Well, for me, we launched a product on Amazon. It's a product that other people have, Carlos. So it is a Me Too product, right? And but it doesn't matter if we're driving traffic off Amazon and we're not competing for those keywords. So we didn't even spend anything in PPC. We drove traffic from TikTok to a landing page on Shopify, click through to Amazon, so we're getting brand attribution, which isn't perfect because a lot of them leave the app to go into the Amazon app to purchase. But you're getting brand referral fees. You're filtering out your traffic coming in from TikTok. It's organic, which helps you lower your costs, right? Because everyone's like, their margins are getting shrunk. And we ranked the product from 140 to spot 7 in 2 weeks without paid ads. Just through content. And it's not that I know how to create the content. I'm partnering because for me, at 35, to think like Gen Z, like I'm doing the podcast, I'm talking to people like Carlos, and then to go and like create very simple content for TikTok is hard for me. I'll be honest. It's just like, I need to make it simpler. So I'm working on that. But instead of me being like, I can't figure it out, I'm gonna work for 5 years to create content, I'm just partnering up with these kids that are already crushing it and working together to show them, hey, I know how to do this. I know how to source in China. I know how to source in Mexico. I know how to create great photos. I know how to do my thing, so to speak, and partnering with them that are relevant and crushing it. How are we doing on time? Okay. Influencers, we all know them. We see them every single day. I mean, some of them are here, Tim Jordan, Carlos, plenty of influencers in this room alone in our industry. But they are having a massive impact on our world. For me, I think it comes back to they've created a personal brand, is what they've done. And for brands that haven't necessarily figured that out on their own, to have a brand that has an identity and that they know, they're essentially attaching themselves to that personal brand and getting the job done, so to speak. You can do it together, that would be even better, but a lot of times it's just a regular brand attaching themselves to a personal brand that is an influencer. And in a world where no one trusts anyone, in a world where, fake news and just Everything is like, is that real? I need to watch it on 5 different things. I need to look at the sources, and I need to see if they've edited this video 10 times and all this kind of stuff. Influencers and user-generated content feels real, even if it's not, because I know some of those trick shots are not real. That's what I'm saying. Like, I know it goes off screen and then it lands, and I'm like, what is happening? I don't really know. But the user-generated content, since the times of like, I don't know, reality TV was probably the first version of that, when it was kind of authentic, is really saying something as simple as trust. Trust, trust, trust. And so these personal influencers have a certain number of people that follow them that trust them. And so whenever they say, go to Wizards of Ecom, or they say, go to this event, go to this conference, or they say, buy this skincare lotion, or buy this toothbrush, people jump and do it, because they're like, we all just wanted to be, we're American. Like, American customers want to be sold to. Like, we're like, fluff me up, like, make me feel good, sell to me. Like, I want to see somebody sell. If we're in the German market, it's not the same, right? It's more like, here's the facts, don't waste any time, tell me what I'm buying, I'll buy it. But in America, we want to be sold to. Even if someone's like, honestly, like on the side of the street and they're asking me for $5, I like the approach, okay? Like, what's their approach? Like, are they funny? Like, do they have a funny sign? Are they polite? Are they rude? Do they just come up like, can't give money to everybody. But a lot of times it's like, if their approach is good, it's almost always a given for me, because we like to be sold to. I appreciate the salesmanship. So influencers are customers' most go-to trusted source for shopping. This is Bobby Parrish. We just launched this brand called Flav City. I don't know if you guys know this YouTuber. He's a really big YouTuber on like eating healthy, and he created a brand called Flav City that we're just now bringing to market. The results of this are insane. Like, launching products on Amazon is like, you're trying to figure out the right keywords, you're advertising with PPC exact match, you're sending exact match to the listing that's in the SEO, you're doing that for like 6 months to start ranking the product. You're like, this is a struggle. It's a struggle to get products ranking, it's a struggle to get products going. We're all trying to get reviews. What do we do? The Vine program. It's harder than ever. And with these brands I'm launching with influencers, it's like a no-brainer. I don't need the honeymoon period. I don't need to delist and relist my item and do it a million times. I don't. I simply make a push. It's like having an amazing email list, an amazing social media list, an amazing text list all at the same time, and sending that traffic to Amazon to get you started. Now, you can't just grow forever on those pushes, but it can definitely be something that you partner with to get you going. So you talk about value add, and you have a product that you're like, I don't know, like, I have a 100% cotton shirt, right? I talked about the kid I launched a brand with. We did 30,000 last month in sales of t-shirts with organic traffic. And t-shirts don't have a ton of margin, but if you're not advertising or paying Amazon fees or whatever, you can make some good money, right? And those t-shirts don't have a value outside of like, I hired a designer to do them, I put some funny stuff on them, it's 100% cotton, I wouldn't even wear that, but this influencer is funny, he's engaging, he creates like, I'm not even gonna say what type of content it is, it's embarrassing, okay? But he creates content and the people watching his stuff are buying the shirt without even asking like, what's this made of? What size does it fit? I'm not getting any of those questions like you do when you're trying to sell a product that you have to convince them. No one wants to sell someone that you just have to be like, you wanna go on a date with me? 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 Like, and they're like, well, what are we gonna do? And who's gonna be there? And are we gonna have fun? And are you paying? You're paying, right? Like, that's like, no one wants that, right? So if you're doing it right, the influencer alone can be like, share the value of the product simply through who they are. And so it's not the same game as listing a product and all of its features and all of its values and all that thing. I'm still talking about that, so I switched gears, and you still gotta do that. You still gotta try to create emotional content, not just list the value of like, this shirt will never shrink, it's pre-shrunk, it will make you look good in the club. Like, those are boring values, let's be honest. But if you can wear that and be like, when I wear this, I'm gonna be as confident as that dude on TikTok, that is something to sell. How many of you guys have seen famous like pet accounts? Like, anybody? I love social media simply because I didn't know animals were that smart. Now I'm like, oh my God, this thing like wipes his face and like does all kinds of stuff. Social media gets to, like, us to experience that. And I know quite a few people that have pet brands that legitimately don't even have a human as the face of their brand, and they have pets and pet influencers. So I actually launched this brand from scratch. I've been with Bruche. They're out of Canada for 5 years. Canada, we did well. We did well. This is like one of the best toothbrushes I've ever had, I'll be honest with you. But we're competing with like Sonic Hair, I think, and Philips, and like these massive competitors, really. And you guys think about like, oh, I'm gonna launch a product. Excuse me, too many competitors. What are we gonna do? Well, how about you put Kevin Hart on the face of it, and put that on your headline ad, and put that in your PDP images, and put that in your A+. And you have him blasting out like he's giving gifts for everyone at Christmas. And all of a sudden, I didn't have a hard time selling on Amazon.com anymore. Right? Problem solved. So, you know, there's always a way to overcome something, including grabbing market share in one of the most competitive markets out there. Don't limit your brand to the ceiling that Amazon's ecosystem placed on you. I just think, like, you know, as someone that has gotten my start on Amazon, I owe Amazon like a lot of gratitude for what it's done for me in my life, in my family's life. It's just really the starting point. If that's where you can start, because it's an easier go-to-market strategy, that's great. Build there. But continue to build your influence on social media, your web, wherever your brand is engaged with. This is supposed to be sales, so don't judge me. But talking about that golf product I was talking about, Golf Daddy, the one where we drove it from ranked 140 to number 7 organically in 2 weeks. Continue to nurture your sales, your customers. There's so many different types of ways to do that with your brand. But your follow-up, your customer retention, these are all strategies that Amazon does for us naturally almost, that you have to think about how would this actually happen in the real world if I was on a website or if I was in person at a retail store, whatever the case might be. Continue to nurture them. And that's it. So I went really fast, guys. I really thank you for that. I just want to cover 2 big topics, in my opinion, and really get your head just thinking, right? My goal and my expectation for this was simply change your perspective about how you're doing things. Maybe you've been frustrated not getting the progress you want, the growth you want. You're thinking about your next product or your next brand. I encourage you to just like open your mind a little bit, think about a different way than maybe you've done it before, and come to the table, come to that idea with just a new perspective. And the last thing I would say is be really honest with yourself and get those, maybe you have, hopefully you have 1 or 2 people in your corner that are not just yes or no people. I mean, just all yes people, and you have some no people. And, you know, really ask them like, okay, I know what this does, and you know what this does, maybe because I've explained it to you verbatim, but like, does this make you feel anything when you see this image? Does this make you want to buy it? Does it make you hate it? Like, do you hate this shirt that I'm wearing a loud shirt? That's good too. You can sell that too to people, right? So get some people in your corner to kind of give you like a fresh perspective on your listings, on your brand. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in the feedback. Thank you.